The giant asked Kofi to lift a heavy stone. Kofi approached the stone, feeling its weight. He remembered all the strength he gained from his journey and the people who supported him. With a deep breath, Kofi focused his energy and lifted the stone with all his might. The giant watched in amazement as Kofi succeeded. "Impressive," the giant exclaimed. "You have passed the second test." The final test was a challenge of In a small village in Ghana, there lived a young man named Kofi. He was 18 years old, with dark skin and a bright smile. Kofi lived with his grandmother, known for her wisdom and storytelling. Every night, she would sit by the fire, telling Kofi stories of great adventures and hidden treasures. Kofi loved these stories, but he often felt that his life was too ordinary. One night, as they sat by the fire, Kofi shared his dreams with his grandmother. "I want to find something great, something that will change my life," he said. He told her about a dream he had where he found a treasure hidden under a giant baobab tree near the coast. His grandmother smiled knowingly. "Dreams are powerful, Kofi. If you believe in your dream, you must follow it. The universe will guide you." Her words lingered in his heart, and he decided that he would go on a journey to find the treasure in his dream. The next morning, Kofi packed a small bag with essentials, some clothes, a few coins, and a piece of his grandmother's fufu, a local dish, to eat on the way. He hugged his grandmother tightly, and she gave him a small charm for protection. "Remember, my child, the treasure is not just gold or silver. It is the journey and what you learn along the way," she said. With a determined heart, Kofi set off. The sun was bright, and the birds sang as he walked through the village. People waved goodbye, and some even called out, "Be careful, Kofi. The world is big and full of surprises." Kofi felt a mix of excitement and fear. He was leaving behind the familiar and stepping into the unknown, but he was ready for an adventure. Kofi traveled through lush green fields and dense forests. He met various people along the way, farmers, traders, and travelers. Each person had a story to tell, and Kofi listened carefully, learning about their lives and dreams. One day, he met an old man named Quaim, sitting under a tree. Quaim was known for his wisdom and often shared stories of the stars and the sky. Kofi approached him and shared his dream of finding treasure. Quaim smiled and said, "The treasure you seek is not just material wealth. It lies within you. Follow your heart, and the universe will provide." Kofi thanked the old man and continued his journey. He began to understand that the people he met and the stories he heard were part of the treasure he was seeking. As Kofi traveled further, he reached a river that was too wide to cross. He looked around for a way to get to the other side, but found nothing. Feeling frustrated, he sat on the riverbank and thought about what to do. Suddenly, he noticed a group of children playing nearby. They were laughing and splashing in the water. Kofi approached them and asked how they crossed the river. "Follow us," one of the children said, grinning. They showed him a narrow path upstream where the water was shallow. Kofi followed them, and they helped him cross the river safely. "Thank you," Kofi said, smiling. As he continued his journey, he realized that sometimes help comes from unexpected places. He learned that being open to new experiences could lead to solutions. After several days of traveling, Kofi arrived at a busy market town. The streets were filled with people selling fruits, spices, and crafts. The colors and smells overwhelmed him, and he felt a rush of excitement. He wandered through the market, observing everything. He saw a woman selling beautiful kente cloth and an old man selling fresh fish. Kofi approached a merchant selling Ankara fabric. "Do you have a job for me?" Kofi asked. The merchant looked at him and replied, "I need help carrying my goods. If you work for me today, I will pay you." Kofi agreed and worked hard, helping the merchant throughout the day. At the end of the day, The merchant handed him a few coins. "You worked well, young man. Remember, every small effort counts toward your journey," the merchant said. Kofi thanked him and left the market, feeling proud of his work. He realized that even small jobs could provide valuable lessons and help him on his quest. As Kofi continued his journey, he heard stories about a wise woman who lived on a hill outside the town. People said she could see the future and guide lost souls. Intrigued, Kofi decided to seek her out. He climbed the hill, and as he reached the top, he saw an old woman sitting in front of a small hut. Her hair was white, and her eyes sparkled with wisdom. Kofi approached her and introduced himself. "I have come to seek guidance on my journey," he said. The wise woman smiled. "Ah, young dreamer. The path to your treasure is not just about finding gold. It is about discovering who you are. Tell me, what do you truly desire?" Kofi thought for a moment. "I want to find the treasure in my dream, but I also want to understand my purpose in life." The wise woman nodded. "You must look within. Your treasure lies in your heart. Follow your passion, and you will find your way." Kofi thanked her and left, feeling a newfound clarity. He understood that his journey was not just about reaching a destination. It was about self-discovery. That night, Kofi camped under the stars. As he gazed at the sky, he remembered his grandmother's stories about the stars guiding travelers. He felt a deep connection to the universe and realized that he was part of something much bigger. He began to reflect on his journey so far. Each person he met had taught him something valuable. He felt grateful for the challenges he faced, knowing they helped him grow stronger. In the quiet of the night, Kofi made a promise to himself. He would continue to seek knowledge and follow his heart. He understood that the journey was as important as the destination. After many days of traveling, Kofi finally reached the coast. The sound of waves crashing against the shore filled the air, and the salty breeze danced through his hair. He felt a sense of excitement as he approached the bustling coastal town. The town was vibrant, with fishermen bringing in their catches and women selling fish by the shore. Kofi decided to spend some time there, watching the fishermen and learning about their way of life. One day, he met a fisherman named Kwaku, who had a weathered face and strong hands. Kwaku noticed Kofi's interest and invited him to help out on his boat. "Young man, if you want to learn, you must be willing to work," Kwaku said. Kofi eagerly accepted the offer. He spent days working with Kwaku, learning about the ocean, fishing techniques, and the importance of patience and teamwork. He discovered that fishing was not just about catching fish. It was about understanding the rhythm of nature. One fateful day, while out at sea, a sudden storm rolled in. The sky darkened, and the waves grew furious. Kofi felt a surge of fear as the boat rocked violently. Kwaku shouted commands, urging Kofi to help steer the boat and keep it steady. They worked together, fighting against the storm's power. Kofi remembered the lessons he learned about teamwork and trust. He focused on Kwaku's calm voice, finding strength in his presence. After what felt like an eternity, the storm finally passed. They returned to shore, drenched and exhausted but alive. Kofi realized that he had faced one of his greatest fears and emerged stronger. "You did well, Kofi," Kwaku said, clapping him on the back. "You learned that courage comes from within." One evening, while exploring the coastline, Kofi stumbled upon a dark cave. Curiosity piqued. He decided to enter. As he ventured deeper, he noticed strange drawings on the walls, depicting ancient warriors and mystical creatures. Suddenly, he heard a soft whisper. "Who dares enter the cave of the ancients?" Kofi's heart raced. He turned to see a shimmering figure emerging from the shadows, a guardian spirit of the cave. "I am Anansi, the trickster. To leave this cave, you must solve my riddle," the spirit said. Kofi nodded, determined to prove his worth. Anansi asked, "I can be cracked, made, told, and played. What am I?" After a moment of thought, Kofi exclaimed. A joke. Anansi laughed and clapped his hands. You are clever, young man. You may pass. Remember, laughter is a treasure in itself. With that, the guardian vanished, and Kofi felt a sense of accomplishment as he left the cave. As Kofi continued his journey, he heard about a nearby village celebrating the Festival of Lights, honoring their ancestors and the spirits of the land. Intrigued, he decided to attend the festival. When he arrived, the village was alive with music, dance, and colorful decorations. Kofi joined the festivities, learning traditional dances and songs. He felt a deep sense of community as people welcomed him with open arms. During the festival, he met a girl named Arma, who was kind and passionate about her culture. They shared stories and laughter, and Kofi felt a connection with her. Arma told Kofi, "The festival teaches us to remember where we come from. Our ancestors guide us, and we must honor them through our stories and traditions." Kofi realized that his journey was not just about his dreams, but also about connecting with others and honoring the stories of his people. As the festival came to an end, an elder approached Kofi. She was wise and had a gentle smile. "Young traveler, I see the light of knowledge in your eyes. Do you wish to learn more?" Kofi nodded eagerly. The elder shared ancient tales and wisdom about life, dreams, and the importance of community. Kofi listened attentively, absorbing every word. "You must understand, Kofi, that true treasure lies in the bonds we create with others," she said. "Share your knowledge, and it will grow." Kofi thanked her for her wisdom and left the village feeling enlightened. He understood that his journey was about building connections and sharing stories that could inspire others. As Kofi continued his travels, he encountered a group of travelers struggling to cross a treacherous mountain path. They were exhausted, and one traveler, a young woman named Zara, had hurt her ankle. Kofi felt a surge of compassion and offered to help. Together with the group, they created a makeshift stretcher to carry Zara. The journey was difficult, with steep cliffs and rocky paths, but they encouraged each other along the way. When they finally reached a safe area, Kofi realized the power of friendship and teamwork. Zara thanked him for his kindness, and they formed a bond that would last beyond the journey. "Remember, Kofi, true strength comes from lifting others," Zara said. Kofi nodded, knowing that his journey was not just about seeking treasure, but also about being a source of support for those around him. As Kofi neared the coast, he learned of a legendary giant that guarded the treasure he sought. The giant was known to test the hearts of those who dared to approach. Many had tried to defeat him, but failed. Kofi felt a mix of fear and determination. He gathered his courage and decided to confront the giant. He understood that this was his final challenge, and he had to prove his worth. When he reached the giant's lair, the ground shook as the giant appeared. "Who dares seek my treasure?" the giant bellowed. "I am Kofi, a traveler in search of knowledge and treasure. I wish to prove my worth," Kofi replied, his voice steady. The giant nodded, intrigued. "I will give you 3 tests. Succeed, and you may take the treasure. Fail, and you must leave empty-handed." The giant's first test was a riddle. "I have keys, but open no locks. I have space, but no room. What am I?" Kofi thought carefully, recalling the many riddles he had heard during his travels. Suddenly, he remembered. "A piano," he exclaimed. The giant grinned. "You are clever, young man. You have passed the first test." The second test was a physical challenge. The giant asked Kofi to lift a heavy stone. Kofi approached the stone, feeling its weight. He remembered all the strength he gained from his journey and the people who supported him. With a deep breath, Kofi focused his energy and lifted the stone with all his might. The giant watched in amazement as Kofi succeeded. "Impressive," the giant exclaimed. "You have passed the second test." The final test was a challenge of the heart. The giant asked Kofi to share a story that moved him deeply. Kofi took a moment to reflect. He thought about his journey, the people he met, and the lessons he learned. He spoke of his grandmother's wisdom, the kindness of strangers, and the importance of community. As he shared his story, he felt the emotions welling up inside him. The giant listened intently, moved by Kofi's sincerity and passion. When Kofi finished, the giant smiled warmly. "You have proven yourself, Kofi. You understand that true treasure lies in the connections we make and the stories we share." With a wave of his hand, the giant revealed a hidden chest filled with gold coins, jewels, and ancient artifacts. Kofi's eyes widened, but he felt something deeper than the material wealth. "I do not seek riches," Kofi said, humbled. "The true treasure is the wisdom and connections I have gained along the way." The giant nodded, understanding. "Take what you need, but remember, the real treasure is the impact you make on others." Kofi took a few coins and a small artifact as a reminder of his journey. He thanked the giant for the lessons learned and left the giant's lair, feeling fulfilled. Kofi began his journey back to his village, carrying the lessons of his adventures. Along the way, he stopped at the coastal town to share his experiences with Kwaku and the fishermen. They welcomed him with open arms and listened to his tales. He spent time teaching the young children about the importance of dreams, friendship, and courage. He encouraged them to follow their passions, just as he did. From that day forward, Kofi became a storyteller in his village. He held gatherings by the fire, sharing tales of his journey and encouraging others to follow their dreams. He inspired many young people to seek their paths and understand the importance of community and connection. The legacy of Kofi lived on in his village. Generations later, children would gather around the fire, listening to the stories of a young dreamer who traveled far and wide in search of treasure. They learned that dreams were powerful, and every journey held its own treasures. Kofi's grandmother's words echoed in their hearts, "The universe will guide you," and indeed, it did.